السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. كما أرسلنا فيكم رسولا منكم يتلو عليكم آياتنا ويزكيكم ويعلمكم الكتاب والحكمة ويعلمكم ما لم تكونوا تعلمون فاذكروني أذكركم واشكروا لي ولا تكفرون. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. ثم أما بعد. We are reading today from ayah number 151 of Al-Baqarah. The long discussion on the change of the Qibla has just come to an end, and Allah begins the next ayah with the word kama. And kama is an Arabic word used, a common translation would be just as, just like. And the purpose of this word is to compare one situation to another. The previous ayah, Allah Azza wa Jal concluded, وَلِأُتِمَّ نِعْمَتِي عَلَيْكُمْ وَلَعَلَّكُمْ تَهْتَدُونَ, so that I may complete my favor upon you. Meaning the changing of the Qibla is part of Allah completing His favor upon the Ummah, and we talked about the connection between that and the conquest of Makkah and eventually cleaning the house of Allah. That's part of completing the mission of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But Allah Azza wa Jal adds something else. He says that's one part of the mission. But another way of looking at completing the mission, one aspect of Allah's the mission of guidance being complete has already happened. And that is كَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا فِيكُمْ رَسُولًا, just as we sent among your midst a messenger. The fact that the final messenger has come to humanity, in one sense, the favor of Allah on humanity has already been completed. That aspect of it. What aspect of it? That a messenger has already been sent. That final messenger. That is the seal of all messengers. That concludes the relationship of wahi that humanity is going to have with Allah Azza wa Jal. That began with Adam alayhi salam is now coming to an end with this messenger that is reciting the ayat of Allah upon you. Then the phrasing that's used is the exact same phrasing that was found in the dua of Ibrahim alayhi salam. كما أرسلنا فيكم رسولا منكم يتلو عليكم آياتنا ويزكيكم ويعلمكم الكتاب والحكمة. That he, one, يتلو عليكم آياتنا, he reads on to you our miraculous signs, our ayat. ويزكيكم, and he cleanses you, he purifies you. ويعلمكم الكتاب والحكمة, and he teaches you the book and the wisdom. So this four-step process in a different arrangement, and we talked about that in more detail in the first juz when this first came up, that Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he asked for this dua, he put yuzakihim at the end, that he should teach them, he should recite the ayat onto them, teach them the book and the wisdom, and purify them. Purification was mentioned at the end. But now Allah is answering that dua. First of all, what's special about this dua is Allah used the second person, كَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا فِيكُمْ رَسُولًا مِّنْكُمْ يَتْلُو عَلَيْكُمْ آيَاتِنَا وَيُزَكِّيكُم, letting the ummah know that you specifically are being gifted with the response of the dua of Ibrahim, not anybody else. You are being addressed with these same phrases. He used the third person because he didn't know his children in the future, and Allah is telling us specifically, or the ummah, the followers of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that you are the fulfillment of the dua of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Just a very quick reminder, because these are important concepts. The idea of purification. وَيُزَكِّيكُم, he will cleanse you, he will purify you. He'll recite the ayat onto you. That's a very simple thing to understand. But the logical progression, by reciting the ayat onto you, the next thing will happen, which is that He's going to be cleansing you, He's going to be purifying you. When we talked about purification, I hope you recall there were two kinds of purification. There's a purification of the heart, and there's a purification of the mind. So we have to purify our characters, our mannerisms, our lusts, what we think about all the time, what we love, what we aspire for, how much remembrance of Allah is in our hearts. That's a kind of purification. To cleanse our hearts from things like jealousy and greed and anger and these kinds of things that can take over a person's personality. Part of the function of revelation is to give tranquility to our hearts, so that the hearts are not filled with these things. So Allah Azza wa Jalla says, أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنَّ الْقُلُوبِ, for instance, that hearts become tranquil. You should know by the remembrance of Allah, and the best remembrance of Allah is Quran. So we're supposed to become that purified people in terms of our hearts, but also purity in terms of our understanding, intellectual purity. What that means is all these false concepts of God, all false concepts of salvation. What does it mean to attain success in the afterlife? All false concepts of good and evil. People can have some idea of what the truth is, some idea of what their purpose in life is, and it's mixed in with some impurities, some of their own misinformed opinions. The purpose of revelation is to get rid of these impurities and to leave us with a pure, cleansed understanding of this deen. So that's really important, so that our hearts are pure and our minds are pure, our understanding is pure. That's yuzakkikum. And then thereafter, that when that foundation is built, once that foundation is cleansed, then there's the benefit of teaching the book. And the book implies also in Arabic phrasing, the law. Meaning the messenger's next function is to teach the law. Now if a person's understanding is not clear as to why they're Muslim, what makes them Muslim, what their purpose in life is, then when you give them the laws of this deen, then they will not be able to appreciate the value of those laws, and they will not be committed to those laws because they don't understand the foundation upon which these laws have value. So for instance, for our children, a lot of times, our youth, we don't give them the foundation. We don't give them the intellectual foundation or the spiritual foundation on top of which the deen is built. And then we tell them this is haram and this is haram and you can't do this and you have to do that. And they don't know why. They have no idea why. So they're wondering, our parents do these things. Apparently they never told me a reason for it, or they really didn't give me a convincing reason for it, so there must not be a reason. For them there's no foundation. It's very hollow. So it's the moment you turn around and you're not shoving, halal haram down their throat, they're going to do whatever they want to do. That's no surprise. You shouldn't blame your kids for that. That's just, if you don't have the proper roots, how are you going to have a healthy tree? It's just common sense. So the foundation is in the first two ayat, that يَتْلُوا عَلَيْكُمْ آيَاتِنَا وَيُزَكِّيكُم. And in it there's also a hint that I alluded to before, that we don't actually have to come up with a curriculum to culture the mentality of our ummah. We don't. Allah already gave us the curriculum. The messenger was given what curriculum to cleanse people? يَتْلُوا عَلَيْكُمْ آيَاتِنَا. He recites onto you our ayat. Quran education. Quran education in and of itself is an intellectual cleanser and a spiritual cleanser. If we're paying attention in salat, we're being spiritually cleansed. And if we're truly understanding what we're hearing and we're reflecting upon what we're hearing in salat, we're being constantly intellectually cleansed also. It's supposed to be this direct relationship with the Quran that is supposed to be the process of purification. And then on top of that, the laws are built and we're reinforced. Our commitment is reinforced every time we come into salat. And then finally, al-hikmah. And we've had several sessions on al-hikmah before. And that would be the climax of an intellectual person. That they learn something valuable, they learn good knowledge, and they're also able to live by that knowledge. Because a lot of times people have a lot of knowledge, but they don't actually live by it in their character. A wise person will have that knowledge and be able to live by it. But to gain that level of maturity, that's the nth degree. That would be wisdom. So that is يُعَلِّمُكُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ. Which is why a lot of ulama, including Imam al-Shafi'i rahmahullah, Imam Malik rahmahullah, had the opinion that al-hikmah refers to the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And it's very easy to understand in modern terms. Where Quran is theory, the messenger is practice. So they would see wisdom as the practice of the messenger ﷺ. The Quran implemented, the Quran lived. So that, so it's not like they're referring to Sahih Bukhari or they're referring to a book as the sunnah. They're referring to the practice of the messenger ﷺ as al-hikmah, because it combines these two things. It's his practice based on revelation in its best possible form. وَيُعَلِّمُكُمْ مَا لَمْ تَكُونُوا تَعْلَمُونَ. And he teaches you what you couldn't possibly ever have known. وَيُعَلِّمُكُمْ مَا لَمْ تَكُونُوا تَعْلَمُونَ. This part of Allah's favor is already completed. That this revelation and the wisdom in it, the knowledge in it, the means to cleanse yourselves in it, the means to fulfill the purpose for which Allah created human beings, and to give this message to humanity, you wouldn't have had this knowledge. You wouldn't have had this access. But He teaches you that which you could never have known. وَيُعَلِّمُكُمْ مَا لَمْ تَكُونُوا تَعْلَمُونَ.